Good evening, friends, and welcome to Advanced Cell webinar series. Today, I would like to highlight the different kinds of discipline in science should be come together to fight against the COVID-19 pandemic and the next here means another wave or the post-COVID complications. So why I said one is never enough. During the course of this talk, you will find that we need a different background of people, of different science background people required to fight to address the COVID-19 pandemic and the beyond, like post-COVID complication as well. So here we go. COVID-19 pandemic has shown the global health concern is not only a medical crisis, but affects society. As of June 15, 2021, this novel coronavirus has been reported in most of the countries and territories, more than 225 of the world, with more than 180 million confirmed cases and 4 million total deaths. That's why the World Health Organization announced a global health emergency on January 30th. Based on the reports of exponentially increasing cases of COVID-19 observed, including China, along the other throughout the world. So how about COVID-19 pandemic in India? Since May 2021, India has recorded more than 30 million new cases and more than 3 lakh fatalities. So how bad is second wave? India failed to prevent the deadly second wave of COVID-19. However, it slowed down now at present, but we have still having post-COVID-19 complication afterwards. So in this episode, we discuss how important it is to bring together scientists, physicians, and others across the globe to find an effective response to COVID-19 outbreak and beyond. How can we achieve this? We can achieve by implementing new research frameworks, interdisciplinary collaboration, promises to manage the implication of the pandemic and prevent the recurrence of similar pandemics. So here is a slide showing the importance of multidisciplinary research. The last 3 decades witnessed a growing trend of collaboration among the researchers with diverse backgrounds of training and education across the world. The literature on the theoretical scope and benefits of such collaboration is extensive. So here we introduce a 3-tier structure for conceptualization, the mechanism of collaboration among different disciplines. What are those disciplines? Multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, and transdisciplinarity. So here I'm showing the what are those disciplinaries. Multidisciplinary researchers work in parallel or sequentially from disciplinary base to address a problem or common problem, while interdisciplinary research work jointly, but still they from a disciplinary specific base to address a problem with a solution. And while transdisciplinary researchers work jointly using a shared conceptual framework that drawing together with the disciplinary specific theories, concepts, and approaches to address a common problem. So COVID-19 is a medical problem with immense societal consequences. The world scientists need to come together to find the proper solution for controlling this pandemic event, managing its consequences, and prevent future of similar pandemics. So how we can achieve this? We have given some example here we discussed today that can be achieved by involving mathematics, computer science, physics, chemistry, and engineering sciences, of course, biological and medical science, and social economic science too. First, come to the mathematics and computer science. Mathematical and epidemiology simulation plays a vital role in predicting, anticipating, and controlling present and future epidemics. To understand and model the dynamics of specific infections, researchers need to understand the influence of many variables like micro-host pathogen interaction or host-to-host encounters, while revealing the culture, social, economic, and local custom worldwide. Here, this is the schematic representation of host pathogen interactions. Here, pathogen-host encounter in a certain environment can either lead to infection or not. Infected individual can then remain asymptomatic or go to develop a disease. To what extent this leads to the induction of protective immunity is currently unknown. The spread of COVID-19 disease is a very complex phenomenon carried by many researchers. They have given the complex and simple mathematical models. I mentioned two models, first stochastic and SIR. Stochastic is the model uses random assignment for forecasting functions, which helpful in early stage of virus propagation. SIR, which is susceptible, infected, recovered. The SIR model has acquired reasonable predictive power to give the better outcome, where in this model, individual infect each other directly. In this model, we identify the independent and dependent variable. The independent variable is time t, which is measured in days. We consider two related sets of dependent variables. Here I mentioned some unit, but it's a complex model. I'm not going to detail. Mathematician or expert can help us predict the propagation of this virus. So S is the number of susceptible individuals, T is the infected individuals, and R is the recovered individuals. So in recent years, structures and particular network theories as a model for road networks or flight connection, metapopulation have proved relevant to understanding the complexity of the virus propagation. So worldwide, public health agencies use these frameworks or model coupled with information technologies like bioinformatics, big data analytics, machine learning, artificial learning, sensor, image recognition to access and establish the strategy to overcome this infectious disease and respond to the outbreak. So here, one of the models is we have through computational biology, we introduce a viral track because viruses are a very constant threat to global health as highlighted by current COVID-19 pandemic. So we introduce viral track. This is a computational method that globally scan unmapped single-cell RNA sequencing data for the presence of viral RNA, which enable transcriptional cell sorting of infected versus bystander cells. This can help to detect the virus from multiple models of infection, including hepatitis B virus. So applying this viral track to bronchoalveolar lavage sample from severe and mild COVID-19 patient reveals the dramatic impact of virus on the immune system of severe patients to mild cases. This can also detect an unexpected co-infection of the human pneumovirus also. So this viral track provides a robust technology for dissecting the mechanism of viral infection and pathology. Now, what's the role of physics, chemistry, engineering, science here? Let's see. In epidemics of highly infectious disease, the entire community needs to participate to contain the spread of disease. However, healthcare workers have to be especially very careful because they are significantly higher risk infection than the general population. So contact precaution by means of personal protective equipment, we call it PPE, are the major strategy to reduce the risk. So here, physicists, chemists, and engineers play a very key role in designing and advancing the PPE structure and function to inhibit COVID-19 spread throughout the countries. Their studies and research can make the people aware in general public which type of PPE protects the best and what is the optimal way to don and off it. They can also help in implementing the manufacturing, production, pipelines, logistics, and commercialization of PPE, along with disposable gloves, sanitizing gels, and respirators. So in such an emergency context, the contribution of universities in engineering or material science can engage in synergy with a company that produce textile, anti-wet coating, ventilators, respirator, and oxygen concentrator, and can attempt to reconvert their material and pipelines to product useful for fight against this pandemic. The physics-based techniques play an important role in structural biology. I think everybody knows about it. The majority of biological macromolecule structures are obtained by X-ray crystallography. So in this X-ray crystallography, the scientists study the structure of functional molecule in order to determine which drug might bind to their target. In case of this SARS-CoV-2 virus, prevent them from replication. Now come to the biological medical science. This is very important. And the control of COVID-19 largely depends on two factors. First is to design early diagnostic tool to estimate more accurately the extent of pandemic, like designing the testing kit or viral transfer media. Next is strategies to provide effective vaccine. For this, scientists must identify viral epitope that might be used for therapeutic target that not only activate the immune system, but also recognize the virus as a target. And very important, I want to go for more detail in research with evidence-based advanced cellular therapy in a couple of slides. So here is showing the schematic diagram of how this COVID-19 virus infect the host. This is the diagram showing first this SARS-CoV virus entered the respiratory tract, and the S protein on the surface of the virus bind to the secretory cells of the nasal epithelium, and the membrane protein ACE2, which call it angiotensin converting enzyme, which is highly expressed in bronchoalveolar type 2 cell. The SARS-CoV-2 entered the host through phagocytosis and thereby partially reducing or rating the enzymatic function of ACE2 and increase the concentration of pro-inflammatory angiotensin 2. The increased angiotensin 2 in the lung interstitium promotes apoptosis, release pro-inflammatory cytokines, and triggers inflammatory response, leading to a cytokine storm and pneumonia in COVID-19 patient to ARDS, that is acute respiratory distress syndrome in severe cases. Here I use the word cytokine storm. What does it mean? Cytokine storm is the various inflammatory cytokines that produce at much higher rate than normal. This overproduction of cytokine causes positive feedbacks on the other immune cell to occur, which allow for more immune cell to be recruited at the site of injury, and this causes organ damage and apoptosis. Here, this slide shows how mesenchymal stem cells, this kind of stem cell, in what's the mechanism behind to prevent acute respiratory syndrome. So this mesenchymal stem cell, you can see by this diagram that this promote the epithelial and endothelial repair and alveolar fluid clearance and bacterial clearance and exert anti-inflammatory and anti-apoptotic effect through the secretion of soluble factors and extracellular vesicles and transfer of mitochondria. It also reduces the reactive oxygen species, which levels and shift the metabolism to sugar metabolism, thus providing the cell survival and reducing the cell death. In addition to this action, mesenchymal stem cell also promotes the clearance of alveolar fluid by increasing the level of fibroblast factor 7 and angiopoietin 1. This slide showing the rationale for stem cell therapy for COVID-19 infection, and also the post-complication. The high infectivity rate of COVID-19 makes it difficult to control disease progression as observed in second wave of pandemic in India and worldwide too. And also now post-COVID complication. Here I listed some of them. This is selected from the clinical trial website. And these are the post-COVID complication in patient: insomnia, that is loss of sleep, loss of appetite, myalgia, headache, diarrhea, chronic fatigue syndrome, depression, anxiety, brain fog, like brain anxiety, new onset of diabetes, myocardial infarction, stroke, lung-related complication, or fibrosis, omicromycosis. Another big issue now we are facing post-COVID stress disorder. This is an emerging consequence in global pandemic now. These post-COVID stress disorders due to the stresses. What are those stresses? Maybe they are traumatic stresses or general stresses. In traumatic stresses, this is due to the severe illness, hospitalization, witnessing death of a loved one, extreme exposure to the COVID-19. In general stressor, we include COVID-19 exposure or quarantine, social isolation, employment, income loss, work from home with kids, being a caregiver, making a difficult medical decision, inadequate PPE. So researchers and clinicians are now investigating the possibility of using this cellular therapy for severe case of COVID-19 with ARDS and post-complications. The encouraging results from ongoing trials will broaden the clinical applicability of mesenchymal cells and give hope for the patients suffering from ARDS and post-COVID-19 complications. It is well established in various clinical settings, including heart failure, kidney transplant, and multiple sclerosis. The clinical use of mesenchymal stem cell was found to be safe with few adverse and no adverse event. So mesenchymal stem cell when intravenously injected will lead to certain population getting entrapped in the lung. While being trapped in the lung, wide variety of soluble mediators, including, as I mentioned, the properties of mesenchymal stem cell, antimicrobial peptides release anti-inflammatory cytokines, extracellular vesicles like exosomes, and angiogenic growth factors are released by the vesicle. That we call it immunoregulatory function. And the immunomodulatory and anti-inflammatory properties of mesenchymal stem cell in the treatment of respiratory diseases were confirmed by various clinical studies. I mentioned here 17, and also more than 70 trials that registered in this regard. So what are the MSC therapy intervention? I described here and as follows: the improvement of lung function and pulmonary fibrosis by lung aggregation and protection of alveolar epithelium, promotion of endogenous repair in the tissue and cellular organization by improvement in microbiome of the organism by maintaining the aspartic aminotransferase and creatine kinase in the serum enzymes, reorganization and rearrangement of function of immune substrate like CD, CD4, and CD8 ratio, and regulation of inflammatory cytokines. We call it cytokine storm induced by virus, and inhibition of TMB lymphocytes. So here this slide showing you a stem cell-based strategy to treat COVID-19 and post-complication. And this is through, you can see it here, a diagram based on the clinical trial is going on. So most clinical trials are based on intravenous injection of allogenic mesenchymal stem cell to treat COVID-19. This is the cultured mesenchymal stem cells, which also include the mesenchymal stem cells derived exosomes, which applied through inhalation, or temporary co-culture of autologous polymorphonuclear cell, we call it PBMCs, collected for COVID-19 patient and cultured with the allogenic mesenchymal stem cell, followed by injection, which call it is educated cells back to the COVID-19 patients. I have used the term exosomes here. These are derived of extravesical from various cells. Here is the mesenchymal stem cells, and is a type of extracellular vesicle that contain various growth factors, including protein, DNA, RNAs, and of the cell that secrete them. Last but not the least, economical and social science is very important role. Cognitive science, brain-mind science, and coupled with social and behavior sciences contribute signs of anxiety and loneliness associated with the mental disorder under pandemic measures. COVID-19 has the immense socioeconomic implications. Now, what's their role? Economic scientists can promote the necessity for business to become pandemic resilient by investing in strategic, operational, financial resilience, and have suggested that these steps are duty of care to society economics. A key component to the eradication of COVID-19 and lessening its impact on global health is intergovernmental cooperations. So a coordinated effort is required so that all potential factors are taken into consideration to reduce the spread of virus and prevent the similar pandemics in the future. A take-home message. The world scientists need to come together to find the proper solution for controlling this pandemic event, manage its consequences, and prevent future recurrence of similar pandemics. The goal can be achieved by increasing public access to healthcare services. In this scenario, in which a single limited intervention may fail to revert the complex pathophysiology of COVID-19, the mesenchymal stem cell constitute a highly appealing therapeutic strategy. As well established, mesenchymal stem cell and its derivative secretomes, I call it exosomes, might act in several different processes of innate and adaptive immunity, leading to changes in overall activation of the immune system in patients with inflammatory disease. Mesenchymal stem cell might exert therapeutic benefit by secreting anti-apoptotic and regenerative factors. Universal scientific education and research network and national and international academies have been recognized as a crucial for integrated knowledge of this novel coronavirus, impacting the effective management of COVID-19 around the planet. Similarly, private and non-private organizations finance small, medium enterprises, university to promote the transfer of research results to the market for improving the safety of community health workers and more in general for tackling the immediate social and health education emergencies. COVID-19 mainly causes a respiratory complication of acute respiratory distress syndrome, cytokine storm, and severe immune disruption. The current scenario portrays the people recover for COVID-19 are still symptoms that persist in his body, causing discomfort, chronic fatigue, which is the consequences of viral infection due to severe immune disruptions. So upon COVID-19 complication, one of the most is the pulmonary fibrosis that we see in the lungs causing severe damage. This is the post-COVID complication. The use of novel therapy like stem cells in combination with derived secretomes, exosome nebulization therapy, which show reduced inflammation, simulation of healing process in your body in post-COVID management. As the pandemic in India slows, the fight against long-haul COVID is on. So through Advanced Cell, I would like to convey my message. Together, we need to keep walking on the path of development of human well-being. Now, the call is open for discussion. For any queries or question, you can reach us at 965-432-1400, or you can share your views via email also by info@advanced.com. Thank you. Have a nice weekend. So I got one question. Thank you very much, and very good question. That is they have asked the cell number injection through IV. For IV injection, in general, we give maximum dose. It's more than 200 million cells. So it's better high, should be high number. And depends upon the disease, severity of the disease as well, and the stage of disease as well. So generally it should be high number because it trapped in different organ when you give IV injections. So it should be given on high, more than 100 million cells. Hope this will answer your question. So no more questions, and thank you very much. We'll come up with many more with the next series. Till then, you stay safe and healthy. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend.